everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. So there's some kind of weird things going on today in this Ukraine conflict that I want to go over, talk about World War III, talk about taking Moldova. So this situation, it's already been pretty bizarre to me that this is happening in the first place, but now that we're just like kind of openly talking about World War III, or just mentioning it at all, just mentioning the possibility at this like the official level, it's just, this world is just sliding into a really bad place. So I want to read from a few different articles, just to give you the details in case you haven't seen this yet. Okay, this is from the Jerusalem Post. Russian foreign minister warns World War III will be a devastating nuclear war. Okay, let's go down here. What does it say? Close out of that. Russian foreign minister Sergei Lavrov warned on Wednesday that, quote, World War III will be a devastating nuclear war. During an interview with Al Jazeera as Russia's invasion of Ukraine entered its seventh day. Lavrov additionally stressed that U.S. President Joe Biden had stated that the alternative to the sanctions imposed by the West on Russia would be a third world war. The foreign minister had warned on Tuesday that Russia finds it, quote-unquote, unacceptable that American nuclear weapons are located in Europe, saying it is, quote, high time to return them to the U.S., according to TASS. Lavrov repeated claims that Ukraine is planning to acquire nuclear weapons on Wednesday, saying Russia would act to prevent this. Okay, that's all I wanted to read from this one. So the president, as well as Russia's foreign minister, are talking about World War III. Of course, they're talking in the sense that, I hope that they don't want it to happen. At least I'm sure President Biden doesn't want it to happen. I'm sure that Russia doesn't want it to happen either, but I'm surprised that they're even just talking about this at all. There's different ways that this could come about, it's a like I've said before, it's a volatile situation. Russia has threatened that anyone that supports Ukraine could and probably will face consequences, the likes of which they've never seen in their history. It was a veiled threat. Don't know exactly what it means. The first thing that kind of comes to mind is nuclear weapons, but it could be other things. Right? We have virtually the whole world supporting Ukraine, and the sanctions are really bad. In fact, it's been described that what they're doing right now is using the nuclear option as far as sanctions go. Europe has taken Russia off of the SWIFT network. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I don't know if that's like a credit card network or some kind of it's some kind of financial network that they really need, and they've been kicked off. So if sanctions get bad enough, who knows? Russia could act out. Let's read a little bit more. Okay, so we're talking about World War III. Well, and I guess before we move on, Russia has been threatening different countries like Sweden and Finland. In fact, one of my commenters, I think it was Anna G, if you're listening, I think it was you from Sweden, saying that Russia had threatened Sweden. Russia has threatened Israel as far as the Golan Heights go right here, because Russia is in Syria, and they've talked about the fact that from their point of view, the Golan Heights doesn't belong to Israel. So could another kind of like war happen here? Would Israel fight against Russia if Russia sent its troops here to take the Golan Heights? I don't know, but this is a potential flashpoint right here. There's just like it's unpredictable. Essentially, it's unpredictable. Sanctions could cause him to use nuclear weapons. The war itself does not seem to be going very well. If you've been keeping up on it, it's going a lot slower than he anticipated. This is according to what experts are. Their analysis of the situation, that he thought that this was going to go quicker. It's become apparent that a lot of the troops that have gone in there, they didn't know what they were doing. Like, as far as they knew before that point, this was all just like military exercises, just like training and stuff like that. They didn't know that they would actually be engaging in actual war. And therefore, a lot of the like necessary planning and stuff didn't necessarily take place, or it was just like thrown on them all of a sudden. So there are a lot of the Russian troops that were taken by surprise by doing this. Russia still has not taken at the time of this recording, Russia still hasn't taken Kyiv, although that effort is still underway. So it's not going as planned. Putin has shown frustration over this, and I don't think that he was counting on Ukraine defending itself as well as it is. Sorry, I wish I had like all the details to this, but you can follow this. Like, one really good source of information is Twitter, as long as you're following good sources of information on there. There's different channels on YouTube, including one that I really like called Agenda Free TV. Steve Lookner, he does an excellent job covering this, getting all the information from authoritative sources, and essentially just things are not going the way that Putin had planned in Kyiv. And that's not to say that they're not going to succeed, it's just been a lot more difficult. But if things continue to not go the way that Putin planned on, I mean, who's to say that he won't use nuclear weapons here in this conflict? Okay, so so let's zoom back out. Let's talk about Moldova right now. Okay, this is Moldova. This was a part of the Soviet Union. I got this map from mapper.co. Okay, this is the former Soviet Union, and you can see here's Ukraine right here, and then Moldova was part of the Soviet Union. And on Fox News, it's talking about, it says, Belarus President Lukashenko appears to stand in front of map of planned Moldova invasion. So now, potentially, we're talking about invading Moldova. And actually, I think there's, okay, let me go to the main thing. Here's the picture itself. Let me see if I can open this in a different tab. Okay, so here, I think this right here is the, hey, look, they have 1st Cav. Look at that. That's my unit that I was in when I was in the Army. 1st Cavalry Division. All right. 1st Cav leads the way. Gary Owen. No one else is going to get that unless you were in 1st Cav. Okay, so I guess this is the picture in question that shows potential plans to invade Moldova. Let's see just a little bit what it says. Let's see. So Belarus, let's go back to the world map. Belarus up here is basically in lockstep with Russia. This guy, he is essentially the dictator. He is the Putin of Belarus, and he is going along with Putin's plan. And as you can see here, Belarus was part of the Soviet Union. So as far as Russia is concerned, they're good to go. No invasion required with Belarus. So anyway, up until the invasion took place, there had been a lot of Russian troops up here in Belarus, supposedly conducting, military training. Um, there was like a missile exercise, something like a ballistic missile exercise that they had done up in Belarus. But and there had actually been some reports. I can't confirm this, that Belarusian, is it Belarusian? Anyway, they're like paratroopers had started to participate with Russia in the invasion, but I guess I'd have to verify that, but it sounded like that was the case. That Belarus is sending troops to assist Russia in this invasion. So, okay, so let's see. Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko appeared to stand in front of a map that shows plans to invade Transnistria, a breakaway state in Moldova, during a meeting that was broadcast in the country, according to reports. Lukashenko is an ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin and allowed Putin to place Russian troops on the border between Belarus and Ukraine before the invasion, ostensibly for joint military exercises, according to The Hill. Belarus is also reportedly poised to send troops into Ukraine to aid the Russians. Okay, so maybe that they were just like plans, but it looks like Fox News is reporting on this, that it looks like they will send troops to help with this. At today's Security Council meeting, Lukashenko showed what looks like an actual invasion map. It shows Ukraine military facilities destroyed by missiles from Belarus, attacks, directions. Everything agrees except Odessa, Transnistria. Also, Ukraine is divided into 4 sectors. Gosh, look at this guy. He looks like a punk. Look at that. Look at that passive-aggressive little mustache right there. Moldova, a fellow former Soviet state, is on Ukraine's south border. Okay, so that's that. Let me see if I can look up. Transnistria is like it's just like a sliver, a very thin piece of land that's part of Moldova. Transnistria map. Let's just pull this one up here. This is from Wiki Commons. So it's just like this tiny little yellow piece right here. Although I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I really feel like it'd be so easy for, like, once Ukraine is kind of under control, to just continue the campaign. Just say that, just like how Ukraine's eastern part was kind of the justification for this war, right? Because over here you had Donetsk and Luhansk, which Russia has declared as independent countries, breaking off a pretty large portion of land off of Ukraine. So just like this was the justification for invading Ukraine, I wonder, once this objective is complete, if he would go over here to Moldova and just do just the same playbook. Just do the same thing with Transnistria, which is also in the east. Go there and then take Moldova. Sure, why not? And then once he's successful with that, then he'll have Moldova, Ukraine, Belarus. Those will all be kind of like brought back into solidly into his sphere of influence. Although there's been debate about how this works out, because the Ukrainian people do not want any part of this. And trying to force Ukraine to support Russia or be part of Russia or in some way be like a satellite state to Russia seems like it would be difficult, because you can fight wars, but you can't change the hearts of people. If they're against you, then war's not going to solve that, essentially, right? So I don't know. We're just gonna have to see how this all plays out, and then later down the line, are we gonna be seeing things against the entirety of Georgia. Like there's already been a Russia-Georgian war. That was even before Ukraine. But is he going to come back and revisit this area? I don't know. I don't know. And then even more scary is if he decides that he wants these three countries, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, or Finland, or Sweden, right? These three are part of NATO. So this would almost certainly guarantee World War III if he went after these three. And then if he went after Finland and Sweden, even though they're not part of NATO, they kind of feel like NATO, more so than Ukraine. That just might be my opinion. I don't know, but I don't know. There's a lot of potential for this to just really, really get out of hand and lead to World War III. Right? We didn't have the same situation when America invaded Iraq and Afghanistan. There was not as much potential. And I'm not saying that it's not a big deal. There was one commenter that was like, "Oh, I like how you're saying that Iraq and Afghanistan were no big deal." Dude, get out of I was in Afghanistan. Okay, it was a big deal, but it's not the same. It's like you have to it's like comparing apples and oranges, okay? Neither one of these really had the possibility of World War III breaking out, okay? Because there was no big alliances going on, like NATO being threatened, or Russia being threatened, or China being... It was just these two basically isolated countries, one of them more third world than the other one, which would be Afghanistan. Not the same at all, okay? Over here, we're talking about Europe. We're talking about a lot of very powerful countries that surround Ukraine. And then we're talking about a huge, very strong military alliance in NATO. And we're talking about Russia, which is a very, very strong actor on the world stage that's threatening all these different countries, like just many he's threatening Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and now it seems like Moldova, and then currently working on Ukraine. He's already had run-ins with Georgia. He's threatening Israel down here, and that's probably not even a comprehensive list of all the different threats. So it is not the same situation as Iraq and Afghanistan. And the United States never had, Afghanistan and Iraq as part of like a former empire. We were not trying to essentially extend the American empire. If we had wanted to, I think that maybe we could have, but that's not what we were doing. But Russia, on the other hand, a nuclear power, they have the most nuclear weapons in the whole world. They seem like they're on a mission. And when I say they, I mean Putin and anyone that's supporting Putin. Oh, gosh. Okay, now let's go to this. Politico. Yes, he would. Fiona Hill on Putin and nukes. Putin is trying to take down the entire world order, the veteran Russian watcher said in an interview. But there are ways even ordinary Americans can fight back. Okay, so for many people watching the Russian invasion of Ukraine has felt like a series of he can't be doing this moments. Yeah, I'm raising my hand. Yes, that is exactly what it's felt like to me. Russia's Vladimir Putin has launched the largest ground war in Europe since the Second World War. It is quite literally mind-boggling. That's why I reached out to Fiona Hill, one of America's most clear-eyed Russia experts, someone who has studied Putin for decades, worked in both Republican and Democrat administrations, and has a reputation for truth-telling, earned when she testified during impeachment hearings for her former boss, President Donald Trump. Okay, well, this is getting kind of... Okay. I wanted to know What she's been thinking as she watched the extraordinary footage of Russian tanks rolling across international borders, what she thinks Putin has in mind, and what insights she can offer into his motivations and objectives. Hill spent many years studying history, and in our conversations, she repeatedly traced how long arcs and trends of European history are converging on Ukraine right now. So that's like a way of saying like an arc, like a story arc. So basically, these long, uh, ongoing stories, how it's like coming to a head in Ukraine. We are already, she said, in the middle of a third world war. What? Okay. We are all. Oh my gosh. We are already, she said, in the middle of a third world war, whether we fully grasped it or not. Well, that's concerning, and that could absolutely be true. When Nazi Germany was starting its offensive, no one back then would have been like, "Oh, we're in World War II now." It was too soon. It was too early in the conflict. Okay, up till that point, there wasn't a concept of World War II. Well, at least not officially. But I'm not going to get into the secret combination stuff. There was not a concept of World War II. There was only the Great War, which was World War I. So, I think that she could be right. Of course, she can't know for sure. Nobody can know for sure because, you can't really say that it's a world war until you're really well into it. But anyway, let's see what else she has to say. Sadly, we are treading back through old historical patterns that we said that we would never permit to happen again, Hill told me. Yeah, I agree. This feels like Poland all over again. Germany invading Poland and other countries. That's what it feels like to me. And nobody is standing up. Yes, we're doing sanctions, and anything more than that probably would turn into World War III. It's a bad situation. There's nothing that anyone can do. The best that anyone can do right now, I think, is sanctions. I'm no expert in world politics and stuff like that. I don't know if there's some other things that are on the table that people could do. But it seems to me like the only two things are either sanctions or war itself, which turns into World War III. Those historical patterns include Western businesses who fail to see how they help build a tyrant's war chest, admirers enamored at an autocrat's strength, quote unquote, and politicians' tendency to point fingers inward for political gain instead of working together for their nation's security. But at the same time, Hill says it's not too late to turn Putin back, and it's a job not just for the Ukrainians but for NATO. It's a job that ordinary Westerners and companies can assist in important ways once they grasp what is at stake. Quote, Ukraine has become the front line in a struggle, not just between democracies and autocracies, but in a struggle for maintaining a rules-based system in which the things that countries want are not taken by force, Hill said. Every country in the world should be paying close attention to this. Okay, here's Fiona Hill, in case you didn't know what she looked like. There's lots of danger ahead, she warned. Putin is increasingly operating emotionally, and that's very dangerous, and likely to use all the weapons at his disposal, including nuclear ones. It's important not to have any illusions, but equally important not to lose hope. Every time you think, no, he wouldn't, would he? Well, yes, he would, Hill said. And he wants us to know that, of course. It's not that we should be intimidated and scared. We have to prepare for these contingencies and figure out what it is we're going to do to head them off. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole thing. You can read it if you'd like. I'm going to put all these links in the description below. But Fiona Hill, along with others, have basically said that it's not off the table for him to use nuclear weapons. It absolutely could happen. And things could escalate in a way that maybe we haven't even mentioned in this video. I'm sure there's plenty of different ways that this could escalate beyond Ukraine. So this is a very dangerous situation. It's very, very dangerous. This is something that we should all be watching as watchers, people that are watching for the signs of the times. This could be the biggest sign of the times. We don't know yet because we're kind of still in the early stages. You know, I guess technically only about 7 days in to this invasion. Is this World War III already? Don't know. We're not going to know till later. But this is really, really something else. Even just with what's happened, if everything was to like stop right now and Putin was to call back his troops and then everything goes back to the way it was, the world has already been changed by that behavior. He has basically broken a world order, so to speak, since World War II. Since World War II. He's done something in Europe that hasn't happened since World War II. You know, everyone's going to be... if he pulled back all of his troops, everyone would be, at that point, nervous about what he might do next. Even if he pulled his troops back, like... So basically, we've in one sense, we've reached a point of no return. Something has been done and it can't be taken back, and history has been changed in a big way. So, yeah, all we can do is just sit here and watch and pray and just look forward to Christ coming again so that we never have to deal with these crazy, stupid situations ever again. Right? We need that big, ugly statue from King Nebuchadnezzar's dream to just be destroyed and just have Christ. That's what the world needs. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it. Make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.